All right, it says it's live. Let's hope that works. Oh, okay, so you're here and you're at level 19. Are you ready to leave me? I'm not ready for you to leave me.
Not quite yet. No, I think I'll hang around for a bit.
Okay.
I don't
So
think they're organised with the next lot yet, are they?
they're not. They're getting ready to launch. I know they have Ron and Robin getting ready to start Sphere 2 first and kind of test it out. So once I level you up and advance you from level 19, then you'll go into the level 20 lounge and you'll no longer officially be my apprentice. But you get to hang out in the community and be an alumni and tell everybody else to hurry up and catch up to you. But no, you get an invite to the special level 20 lounge and you get to hang out with them and they drop you in the level 2 antechamber. So you have to be out of my cohort in the Arcanum in order to be eligible for Sphere 2.
So, I see. Oh,
well. So, all right. So tell me about Sphere 1 and prepping for your level 19 and how are you feeling? What are you doing?
I think I've been doing okay. I mean, I went through a few levels quite quickly because they were all things that I'd been working on in the background anyway, to some degree. So, and it's been good because it's all sort of coming to a point now where I'm getting closer and closer to where I want to be. And barring bad weather and Chinese tourists trying to kill me with their cars, I'll be right. I really want to go and do another trip to Melbourne, Victoria, what have you, to get some more shots though, because every time I look at the what I've got, I think, oh, I could just get a few more there, or I could get this and I could get that. I know at some point you've got to say, okay, that's it, it's ready to go. But I just had a trip where the skies were either completely clouded over and you couldn't see anything, or they were totally blue with no features whatsoever. So I wouldn't mind visiting some of the same places again and seeing what I can get. But I did have to choose the Australian city with the most unreliable weather. They say you get 4 seasons in one day.
Nice.
Or the other saying is, if you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes. It'll change. So, yeah. But there's just a couple of grand shots that I want to get that I think will finish this. But anyway, you really only wanted to see the first 20, but I've kind of gone beyond that.
I wanted you to bring at least the first 20. So if you have more than that, we can go through and see what you got. I'd love to see how far you've gotten. So originally your level 19 critique was to bring the first 20 of your art book, but then you shifted that. Now it's like a tourist guidebook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've actually changed it completely the way it looks, and from the original one, and I've also it's probably looking more arty than it was before, more like an art book, because I've had sort of another look at it. Even this evening, I've probably added another 10 pages and changed the order around completely while I was writing. So yeah. Every time I look at it, it's good to go away from it for a while, and I haven't touched it for about a week. So tonight I just had another look and thought, I don't like the sequencing, because I'm doing subjects. So there's a bit about cafes and some of the street life and what have you. There's bits about architecture, street art, fireworks and celebrations and parades and all that sort of stuff. So I just don't know which order to put them in at the moment. I've sort of got what I think is a logical sequence at the moment, but maybe not. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and click on the screen share and bring it up, and we'll take a look, and then I'll give you some feedback on the book as a whole, and we'll kind of see if we can help structure it a little better.
Okay. Says I'm screen sharing, but I can still see you. Can you see it, or do you see me?
Yeah, I can see this screen share. That's fine. I'm seeing a bunch of little icons of the pages.
Okay, let's make them bigger so you can see them.
There we go.
Okay, so this is the cover. I'm not quite settled on the title font or anything like that yet. It's the back and the front. But the shot that I really wanted for the front was going to be a dawn shot taken from a hot air balloon. But I'll show you why later, why I didn't get that shot. But this is sort of like a New Year's Eve shot. They have fantastic fireworks there every New Year's Eve, and I've added a couple more in there to sort of fill up some blank spaces. Because I think the whole idea for a cover is to be eye-catching as possible.
Yep, I agree.
So that's where I've gone with that. Let me just hide that because it's over a button. Do you want me to just click through it and talk through it as I go?
Yeah, let's just go through it.
Okay. So there's the title page. That's when I shot my last visit to Melbourne from the Eureka Tower. It's the tallest building in the Southern Hemisphere. I found something really interesting is that the glass, they laminate the glass, and so when you take photographs through the glass, you can get out onto this balcony area, but it only covers like a quarter of the landscape. If you shoot through the glass, you get all these weird reflections and ghosts, and it depends on what angle your camera is to the glass pane. And I eliminated all the reflections because the first time I went, I used rubber lens hoods, but they weren't good enough. So I actually got a softbox, ripped it off the front of it, turned it inside out, and was taped it to the glass, much to the astonishment of some of the other people up there. But I found out that I'm getting these weird ghosts and everything, and I couldn't see it on my viewfinder, but you see it when you blow these things up because they're 36 megapixels. But I had to choose, so out of the shots I took, I had to choose the ones that didn't have ghosts, and it is too time consuming to try to, I've managed to do it on a couple of them, but it's too time consuming to try to take them out because sometimes you have two extra ghosts. So you have the main, and it's on the brightest lights. So you have, it almost looks like it's kind of like a weird double mirror effect or something. But anyway, managed to get enough to make it work. So this will be the contents page, and I'm only filling it in as I go, as I know where things are. In fact, I think they'll be out of order now because of what I did earlier tonight. But I'm trying to use this. I'm inspired a little bit. Oh, I should have shown you the book first. I'm inspired a little bit by, there's an Australian photographer called Ken Duncan he uses an old film panorama camera, and he basically shoots all panoramas, and I do like shooting them, but a lot of these weren't actually shot as panoramas. It's just that I've got such, I've got the megapixels where I can crop them to make them do that. So so I've got a sort of a title page there, which is a double spread again. And then I sort of moved it into an introduction page and try to get into the first subject, which is kind of what the people do and how life evolves around the river. So there's a bit of a couple of paragraphs there about the city and its basic history and why it's where it is and all that sort of thing. The thing I'm aware of too, when I have a look at them and I look at all my icons together, is that I've got lots and lots of night shots. So I've actually got an area down the end where I've just ditched stuff out after the back cover, which I don't know, with shots I just don't know what to do with them. This little thing is an island in the middle of the river. It's called Ponyfish Island, and they've got a footbridge that goes over it and everything, that arch bridge that I love so much that I go to. So that's the contents page, and then I've sort of launched into, because the first one talks about all the cafes and all the sort of things. So I've gone into it. I'm not sure whether I need a bit more of a blurb here about the cafes, because I can move that to one side and have a bit of info about some of the. In Melbourne, it's quite unusual. What most people would use. The shot on the right is you've seen before is of an actual arcade where there are shops and cafes and things. The one on the left is actually an alley between two buildings. And in Melbourne, wherever you've got a space between two buildings, they'll put cafes and chairs and what have you in there. It's quite unique to that city. So I've done quite a bit on those, and it's just as I said, layouts, I'm just trying to get them all right so you get a feel for all the different ones and how they look and how people just get into them and the life that revolves around them. So kind of a double spread there with the smaller shots. I got told off by somebody because I was trying to put too many shots into pages, so I've backed off on that a lot and removed a lot of them and just chosen the best image on a lot of occasions. And then sort of next subject is about the river and how it's a brown river. It's really weird, and then people call it the upside down river because it's all the silt that comes from upstream where it's on the fresh water, and the fresh water is lighter than the seawater where it meets the sea. So all the dirty water sits on the top, so it looks like it's brown, but it's actually well, it is brown, but it's actually quite clean. And they have a lot of sports and what have you on it. So I've kind of got different viewpoints, and I really didn't want this to have too much text in it. So I mean, there's some that's going to be added, but I was just being very careful to make it more about the pictures. And I was even wondering whether I've got too many still in there where I should have some blank pages somewhere, which I haven't done. I haven't put any blank pages in.
No, I'm not a big fan of that at all. It's a waste of paper. It's a waste of, you know, turning energy. Like, I don't understand why anybody leaves an entire page blank. And you definitely, even the people that like the layouts of that for maybe albums, it's definitely not something that you've ever seen in any book that you've picked up, you know, in the bookstore or in a tourist thing. You know, it'll look, honestly, it'll look like a mistake, like the printer just skipped a page. So I don't think that you need to skip any. I'm fine with, you know, having one side of the spread, one page being the image and the other one being text or just being a little caption. But, you know, the people that are picking up these books want to know all about Melbourne. So give them the information and give them the images. There's a couple of things that I'm seeing off the bat. The one spread that you had the 4 images on the one page and the 2 on the other. I don't think the layout's bad. I like it a lot. I think that the issue that you're coming into is that the images themselves are so busy and there's so much going on with them that it becomes a little bit of a visual overload, particularly on the first page. Like the second page doesn't bother me as much. I think I would switch the 2 images just because of the leading lines into the page. I think the girl on the end, having her on the outside of that would lead your vision into the other image.
This one?
Yes. Yeah, I like that a lot better because you want to follow the leading line in and it just kind of leads you to lean right into the next image visually. Same thing if we were going to move these. Some of it may just be layout. Like I think on the bottom of the first page, switching the bottom 2 images again might help just because she's so heavy, because she's so close to it, that it sort of pulls you visually into the image, which I think is what you're looking for. And then I might go and switch the top and the bottom right images too, just so that, because I think now diagonally, the 2 images that have less info don't compete so much. The other 2 next to each other, there's so many people and there's so much food in the shot. So I think some of it's just little layout tweaks that you can do that make them stronger as spreads. Let's go back one more.
Go back one more.
Yeah. I love this layout. I think that this is beautiful, but this is another one that I think that I would switch the pages because the chairs will lead you into the second image. I don't know how easy or difficult that is. And this is all just personal preference, but this is something that I spent so much time when I did my hardcover book. See how the leading lines pull you into the center of the page then? I think that that's stronger. But I love both these images, and this is a beautiful spread. I wouldn't add any text unless if you're doing it as sort of a like you said, a photographic souvenir implies that it's something they're taking home from where they're at, which is different than a guidebook where they would be looking. If it was more of a guidebook, then I would want like the names and, you know, either contact info or where these things are so I can go try them when I look at it and go, oh, that looks really tasty, or that looks like such a great place to go have a cup of coffee. You know, I want the info, but I don't think it'd be a bad thing to maybe consider doing little captions like they do in like magazines and things, like, you know, left page is such and such cafe at this place, right page, back alley, you know, bistro here kind of thing. But I also really, really like the clean look of it. So I think it's okay to have like this page by itself, and then on the previous page or on the next spread to do, you know, like next page left, this and that, so that you can have some fine art pages that are just for visual appreciation. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I was wondering how much of that to put in there, because I think people will be going, oh, I didn't see that. Where was that? You know, that sort of thing. So they want to know.
Well, you know, and it's not a bad idea to maybe put a end page in the book, you know, and have all this available on your website too, that if they go to your website, they can have the list of all the locations or stuff, because that drives all the traffic of everybody that already liked your work enough to buy it to come to your site or your blog to get the info and then see what else you're doing. And that's what that's what creates repeat clients and repeat sales, because they already liked your work enough to buy it. And while they're on there looking at that kind of stuff, then they go, oh, I didn't know he was having a sale. I really love this image in the book. Yes, I absolutely want it as a wall print kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So food for thought.
Value adding. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes I look at the layouts, and because I don't know much about it, I've been buying books and stuff about it, and they don't help much. And people who know about it don't seem to want to share. So I kind of look at some of the things and think, well, it's really, when you go and see these places, they do feel really busy and bustly. So I didn't mind the fact that it was a lot of shots together and in that, but I don't like it with some of the other ones. So you know, if it's a very peaceful, serene feeling, I wanted to make that feel like that with the layout as well, so that you feel like there's a lot of space. And there's something that you said about my images that a while back, about how you feel like you're drawn into them and they're sort of expansive and all the rest of it. So that's helped me actually choose the shots that I'm using, because I've got many variations of a lot of these shots, and I think, oh, which one? And then I have a look at them and see the ones where you feel like you could step into them. Yeah.
This is another one that I like, both these images, but I think that I would switch the placement of them because the eye usually reads left to right by default, and I think the top one, because of the angle of the bank line, that it would be a stronger image for the main one.
This one? Just lost my text. I'll find it later.
I like them both. I think that this one works better visually because of the composite, but I think the other one is a stronger shot. So maybe for this one, what we do is we keep that one the main one, but we change the layout so that the small image is on the left side, not the right side.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be just like, yeah. And then I would switch them back to the original image that you had as the main one, because I do think that's a stronger image. Yeah, I like that a lot better.
I don't know where that text went, but I'll find it.
Good.
Yeah, I got to InDesign and it just was driving me crazy, so I went back to Lightroom again. What you can't do in here, you can do in the print module or in Photoshop, and then bring it back anyway. So it's not. Yeah, so that's about the upside. So yeah, so this is just, these ones are just added in tonight because I've got a couple of shots and they just weren't there. I'm not sure about whether this is the right way around either.
I'm not convinced that these two fit particularly well together as a spread. That's basically you're designing galleries at this point, or portfolios. So all the images have to work as a collection. Did you watch the one we did with Lars when we were doing his gallery show collections?
No, I don't think I saw that. I must have been away.
Okay. So we did the same thing, and we were trying to figure out which ones went beside each other on the wall. So that's basically what you're doing here. Like, you definitely want to include all the images, but you're looking for similar themes in the subject matter, in the colors, in the layout. And it helps a lot to have, if you're having 2 or more images, to make one of them more visually busy and one of them more simplistic.
Yep.
Otherwise it just becomes a little bit overwhelming, I think, visually.
Just wondering whether this image on this one would be better on the left side than the other one. Hang on, I'll bring it up.
I think the colors, yeah, I think the colors match up a lot better with that lighter color scheme.
Let's just move that over here. It'll just freak out momentarily.
I like that better, and I think the pages would switch them for me. They'd flip.
Oh, hell, I'm going to do it in the other way.
Yeah, I think that's stronger. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I like them to better, because there's a commonality not only with the river, but the colors.
Mm-hmm. That's what you're looking for, is consistency all the way through. They start to look like it. It's still, you know, you have a lot of the blue and the gray in the sky, but you really start to pick it up in the bottom of the buildings and the reflection of the river, and then in the sky, the second piece. And I think that's what makes it work, because you can just kind of flow visually from one to the other. So I think that's probably better. It might actually be a better idea to make the one on the left smaller and give it the black frame, just because it's such a light image. Yeah, see, I think that that's much stronger. I actually like them both even too, with a little bit of space in this one, just because the black helps to break it up so that you still have that color similarity pulling in, but the black creates a little bit of segregation from the blue and the gray in the skies, which there isn't much of in the other one because it's a darker image. And I think the black helps to tie both them in.
Cool.
So, good.
Okay, and then I've kept the river theme going. I think that text that was on the previous spread will go into this one. These colors are quite similar in tonings and stuff, so I've that's why I put these two together.
Yeah, this is a beautiful spread.
Yeah. It's funny, that shot, the main shot in this one, I overlooked for so long. I just thought, I don't know whether I like it or not, but I've come to like it later. But that's typical of me anyway. I don't like my shots when I first take them.
I think that's most artists.
Okay, well, I don't know. There's commonality between these two, but I don't know whether they work together. Maybe this needs to be smaller.
This would probably be a good one to make that image a secondary, smaller image. And then add a text box next to it that's probably about the same size as the image and give some info. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work better. I can put the text in here. Everything defaults, they assume that you want white pages with black text.
Black text, yeah.
I'm the opposite, of course. So, yeah. So yeah, it's still got the river, and we're going into the sort of the nights. Oh, hello, what happened? Oh, I see what I've done. Sorry, my stupid mistake. And then we sort of completely break into this. There's a magnificent building in Melbourne which I really love. I've given it a bit of a potted history of it there, but it's also surrounded by beautiful gardens, and it's a World Heritage Site. And so I've given it it's basically got 2.5 spreads on this one building and its gardens because it's so exquisite. I've never seen the gardens like that again. It's funny, when I shot that, they ripped all that out and they haven't done it like that again. So I was really lucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, it talks about a bit of the history, and then the inside of it is just extraordinary. I got there when they had beams of light coming through, which really, I've kind of got it shot all the different ways, but they look so similar that I just chose one of the directions to shoot.
I think on the first page, your first large image and then the top second one are extremely similar, and you need to pick which one you love. And the other one goes. Because this is another page that it's a lot of visual information because of all the detailing.
I guess this one's better because you can see the people down the bottom. You don't see the railing. Although I did like the railing in the shot. So maybe that's
I like them both, but no, I like the one with the railing, I think. Yeah. You have a lot of the people in the other one on the other page. And then I would probably take the 2 images that are left and probably make them the same size. If you wanted to include text, you could, or just make them parallel images. Yeah, I think that's much stronger, but I would flip the 2.
Might get in and just match up the colors a little better too with those 2 shots.
That's a good idea.
Do that later. Won't bore you with that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's much stronger.
Oops. And so then the last, I wasn't sure about this. I wanted to sort of segue into architecture, but I haven't, this is a layout that I haven't got right yet. Because this is the exterior of that building from different angles. And it sort of goes into some of the really unusual architecture that's in Melbourne. And I just don't know, I don't think this actually works this way, but I'm just trying to work out a way of doing it. Maybe I just get rid of that left page. I don't know.
I like both the pages, but I think they both are their own spreads, not their own page. So I think it'd be fine to put a page in between those 2 and include some text about the building, or just have both of the image features, because I love the shots on the left page. But then I think another spread with those 3 and picking probably the center image to be on one page and the other 2 together.
Yep. So I could separate those 2. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would make them 2 spreads rather than 2 pages.
So I'll just do this to remind myself later to do it.
Yeah.
Which means I've got to put another one in here. Okay, so I'll fix those up later. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would make the smaller one the left. Well, no, I would leave the one on the left page, and bring that one over to the other page and just make it a big image. And then
yeah. Right, I knew what I was doing.
I haven't ever used Lightroom for book layout. How do you like it?
Well, it's kind of simple and quick, but the thing is, it's limited too. So you quite often go through these templates and find there's nothing you want. So you have to go into the print module and make them,
right,
and print a page out. So like one of those ones before is actually one that I made in the print module, and sorry, I'm just looking for the one I want. No, it's got 2 photos. That's why. Yeah. It's not the same one, is it? It is, but for example, this this one that you're talking about, that's actually one I made in the print module, because there were 3 shots. There's exactly the same building, but from different angles. And so I had to do that because I couldn't find a layout with 3 shots that I liked. And as you point out, they'd probably be better separated anyway. So I just, yeah, so you have to go and make them to do it, and then you export them as a full page already made, and just drop them in.
And I'm not opposed to the 3 images. Some things I'm seeing is inconsistency with the fact that this is the first one that all of the images are touching each other. There's a black border between every other one, so it stands out. And I think because they're so visually complex, that putting them all smack up against each other overpowers, you know, the visual sensory and doesn't let you appreciate any of them. I would keep the middle one on the left page, and then I would put the other 2 and make them the same size on the right page and let them kind of speak for themselves.
I'm not sure whether I got the individual ones right here that I can do it straight away, but
that's okay.
I'd have to find them actually. All right. Yep. No worries. I can do that. It's not a problem. And that kind of leads into this extraordinary piece of architecture too. It's the reading room in the Victorian Library. And the shot on the right is actually a panorama, because you can't, without distortion, you cannot get the whole room in.
Right.
So I actually shot it as a pano and stitched it together. And then just used the left one as some details. That's all. Some of the other bits and pieces.
I love the layout, but I think that the bottom right one on the first page is too visually similar. Even though you don't have any of the walls in, the lines are so stark in the design of the building that it becomes visually repetitive, I think. So this is another one that I think if you really love them and want to keep them in, the one that you have on the right definitely deserves full page spread, like top billing, but I would probably split the other page into 2 pages.
Okay.
And maybe that way make sure that the one on the right does not end up on the same spread as that bottom one on the left-hand page. Because then I think they work, but right next to each other, I think they're too visually conflicting. The other thing that you might be able to try is to just flip the layout horizontally and vertically, so that that one ends up in the top corner, or just switch it with the top left corner.
Oh, okay. So get it further away.
Yeah, remove it, because there's so much white, and then it's this really deep kind of burnt umber and orange and brown, and it's all congregating on the same visual plane.
I think I've got another shot I can replace that with, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Because on the left, it actually looks like it's one shot, a vertical, but it's actually 2 shots there. Yeah. So, but I think I've got another one. There's some nice stained glass windows that they've got in.
Perfect.
So, which I can put in there. Yeah, as I said, I always overshoot everything, so I've always got alternatives. Now, this is a really stark change. This is part of Federation Square. The inside, the whole, I think it's the ugliest square in the entire universe, but this is probably the most interesting part of it. This is the atrium, which is on the outside, because they call Federation Square or Fed Square that's where they do all the gathering and all sorts of things that go on. But this is the kind of most interesting bit for me. So I actually shot it, daytime and then night, and just to show the architecture, because it is quite stark. It's quite different.
Yeah, I like this one. It's pretty.
I don't mind. They seem to hang together okay.
I think I think if you switch them, you'll find that the top edge of the roof of the one will line up with this little triangle of ceiling that you have on the other. See how the visual slant goes now right off the page?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I've got an interesting one coming up later with I did street art, kind of layouts for street art, and I was playing with these two images that face each other, and I had them both ways, and they kind of do have quite a different feel to them because of the way I've shot the angles. I don't know whether this necessarily works in the sequencing of things, but I don't mind it as a layout. I'm just not sure where to put it. It's kind of got a color theme there that's going on. The shot on the left, it won't do it. I would have liked to done it as a double page spread, but it won't do it because it is not. It's a 4x3, so or a 2x3, sorry. So it won't do it. But yeah, I'll find a place to put it, but I just don't know whether it fits after that last one.
I don't know. Let's keep going, and maybe we'll find another one that fits there better. These two definitely fit together as spreads very well. So I would definitely want to keep them next to each other in the sequence, but there might be one that leads into that one a little bit better.
Yeah.
I love this one. I would switch the images though.
Oh, okay. So we'll go back to that one. Switch them. Okay. What? This one, the small one?
Yeah, I would just flip the pages.
Flip the pages, okay.
Yeah, I like that better. I think it leads in well, and then right out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I love that one.
The fireworks shot. I think I actually. Oh no, this is from a single shot. I don't think it was a pan. I did try to do some panos, but it's really hard to do it with the fireworks because they're never coordinated. Yeah, and of course I got I had to redo those flames because the on the right hand we call them pigeon roasters. Do you have pigeons in the United States, don't you?
Yes.
The birds, yeah. Well, they've got these big columns that have got these big burners on the top of them, and unfortunately that's where the pigeons like to roost. And every night at about sunset, just after sunset, they all go off about once a minute, and in a sequence, and that's why they get called pigeon roasters.
That's awful.
Yeah. So yeah, and then a few more sort of shots of the fireworks. You can see sort of like the coordinated fireworks they have across the city.
I think that either of the ones on the second page are worthy of having like a double page spread. And I think that there's too many images too close together, and because it's so dark and the sky is black, you have a hard time finding the edges of the image because they blend into the page background. So this is one that I would be more inclined to either split between two spreads or pick your favorite from the left-hand side and maybe just do one or two tops.
Yep, that makes sense because I'm looking at it now and I just don't like the bottom two shots at all.
Okay, good. Then get rid of them.
Well, I got so many of them. It's funny, when I shot these on the New Year's, because I've uploaded them to Flickr, and I was in Explore every day for about 10 days with these damn fireworks shots, and in the top 10. And I thought, who knew people like fireworks that much? But they did, because I managed to get up on top of a building, obviously, to get all these shots. But yeah. and then into something more sunsetty and, you know, dusk. And but from, that's the other thing, that I do have a lot of shots from high up, which I obviously like to do. So I'm trying to make them either fit together or not have them too many of them together in a row, because they might get a bit monotonous.
This one I would flip the pages too, because I think the lines from the top of the buildings will lead you into the other photo better if they're on the opposite pages. Yeah, I like that better. I think it leads you right into the next page that way.
I've just noticed that's not the latest version of the that shot on the right either, because I put a building on the front of that.
Right.
To keep you happy. I'll have to find the latest version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that better.
And then I've got the street art spread, which is like multiple pages, but I've kind of got a bit funky with the title on this one. I've got, it's one of the few places in Australia at least that they allow people to go and they've got these certain laneways where they're allowed to go and paint the walls. Nice. And actually, it's semi-regulated, where some art will stay up for, I don't know how long they're allowed to stay before somebody comes and paints over it again, but they must have the thickest paint on any walls in the world, because they're always there, and you can sit and watch, and people actually just sit there and watch these artists in work, and some of them come really prepared with respirators and all kinds of stuff. So I just flipped through them. This is like a in the middle is about probably 10 cars long, this one, but I've stitched it all together. And then I've got sort of some more of the, like the one on the left is about a 4-story building, and the one on the right is 2 stories, the top corner, and then people watching as a kind of telling a story for how they come along, and people with big crowds of people will come and watch these people watch these artists at work. Mm-hmm. And the one in the middle, it was made by 2 different artists, and they've actually put their names in the beer cans. Nice. They're very well known in Melbourne, and now, one of the best.
Is the Nobody Demnum, is that part of the street art too?
No, that's the actual the name of that's the building, the business that's in the building. But you can also see there's a street sign here with parking regulations, and there's another shot somewhere. Because this hasn't got the full length of it in there, but it's there's a parking meter or something in there too. So, but I've cut that out so that it fitted into this aspect ratio.
Mm. I love this layout on the previous page, though. I think that I would keep the title consistent with whatever the other font is that you're going with for your title pages. Yep. It's kitschy, but I think that it takes away and doesn't fit, because the rest of your book has this sort of high-end art book feel, and this comes off more as like the brochure for the street artist, which is great if that was all that you were featuring. But I think that it steps away from the, you know, from the style of the rest of the book and your thing. So I would probably keep the black background and simplify the street art title, because I think it's competing with the images, though. I love that you included this, though.
I just wanted to try something different to see if it'll work, but I've been looking at it, and it does look too busy to me. Mm-hmm. And this is sort of just a bit more of it, like, and with some details on some of the Hosier Lane's probably the best known lane in Australia for this sort of thing, and just some shots of some of the art, without being like, I don't want to intrude on other people's art, but you want to feature it as well, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just show how varied it is and how good some of it is.
Yeah, I love this layout too. Same thing. I would just I would get rid of the background and keep it black. Keep your page black.
Well, that's easy enough to do.
You just don't want the background to compete with your photography
Yeah, I was trying to find a way to make it feel like it came together. Whoops. Oh, okay. That's weird. I have to work out how I did that later. I must have done something really weird to it to make it work. And get rid of that. And this is the one where I said that I didn't know which way to have the pages because they either lead into the center of the book or they both lead out, depending on which way you go.
No, I like them leading in because it gives the illusion of perspective drawing with the lines leading away. So you can feel like you're walking right down the street.
Yeah.
I like it. And they almost line up perfectly, which is really nice.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. So I've given them a lot of time. The other thing that I've done, which I don't know where this belongs in the book either, our equivalent of your Veterans Day is Anzac. Well, we've got two of them, but the biggest one is Anzac Day. And we just had it last Saturday, actually, and that's when all the veterans get out. And it's a really big deal in Australia. And the one they have in Melbourne is the biggest one in Australia by far. They had 80,000 people just at the dawn service.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had the march and everything, and there's 3 or 4 times as many people afterwards. So I've kind of I went into where they do this, the crypt, and got shots and then put them together and got this shot of this guy, this soldier with the eternal flame in front of him, and got shot some of the veterans and all that sort of stuff. So I'll just flip through the...
So I think the other pages that we were looking at that we said we didn't know where they belonged, I think that those lead into these images with their color really well. So you might think about pulling them back here then.
Okay. And then I've done, these are all detailed shots of what happens on the day. It might be too busy, but...
No, I don't think so. I like this one. It looks good. But same thing, I would just, I would keep your background on this page black, just because there is so much information. You don't want anything to compete with the images.
Yeah. And the guy at the bottom right there, the guy in the center is a famous footballer, Australian footballer from years ago, and he was marching for his father for the first time, which is kind of like one of those moments that you don't get. So it was pretty good. And as I said, the dawn service is held at this shrine, and this top left image on the right-hand page is all the people, and they file through the shrine afterwards. And I've got some shots of inside it and all that sort of thing. What it looks like inside the crypt and all that sort of thing. So yeah, all right. Then we head off. This is just something I threw into. This belongs somewhere. I don't know where though, and I've got to straighten that building up because it was a wide-angle lens. Just noticed that. Yeah. All right. I'll fix that later. The other thing is that Melbourne's really known for its sport, and it's got this like MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, is probably the most famous sports ground in Australia, but it's also got where the Australian Open is played in Rod Laver Arena, and there's the other stadium over here, which is the soccer stadium, which I should really move it over like that so you can see it. Yeah, so that belongs somewhere. I can't actually show any shots, even if I shoot them at myself. It's probably the same as the NFL over there, where they own the rights to any shots that you take inside that, so you can't actually show a football game being played because you have to pay rights, pay them.
Gotcha.
And they want too much money, so I would avoid it. So I don't know where these go, but I don't even think they fit together. But it's kind of like a reminder. This is where we're getting to the part of where I haven't actually finished it. These are reminders that I need to do something with these images. Maybe the left one doesn't go in at all. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I've got
I'm not completely in love with either of these shots, to be honest. I like the idea of it being the stadium, but compared to some of your other work and how beautiful it is, I don't know that these two are really ranking. So these would be page fillers for me. Do you have like a page count that you want to go with? Do you know how long you want the book to be?
Not really. I'm trying to get it to a stage where I can know roughly how long it's going to be. I was thinking about 80 pages, but Yeah, I'm just not sure at the moment, because if I find more stuff or I shoot more stuff that's worthy of going in there, but yeah, I'm not wed to any of these shots. I don't care if they go or not. But I've just reminded me that I've got to get something sporting in there. I've got a nice night shot of that, which should probably be better.
Yeah, I love the idea of including the stadiums. It may be, you know, that the day wasn't particularly cooperating either, because it's kind of hazy and overcast. But honestly, that one looks more like a snapshot that I would see from a tourist than it's just not quite on par with the work that I'm used to seeing from you. You know, like it's a great shot for the subject matter, and I like the composition, but the photograph itself, I'm not seeing anything that I'm like, ooh. You know, which is exactly what you want them to do, especially if they're tourists.
It's easy fixed. These next ones, either I didn't know what to do with them, so I've just parked them at the back as well.
Okay.
They are.
I think right away.
That shot is that shot. Yeah.
Yep. One of them goes.
I'll have to get something else to put in there, but. This is the shrine again, but it's part of the parks and gardens, and I've actually probably got a nice shot of the Botanic Gardens or something that I can stick in there, which is right next door, which would work thematically. But I look at daytime shots and I think they don't look right to me, because my shots are mostly sunset or nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
No, I like them. I think I would make the shot on the right-hand page. I think I would move that over and pull the city shot to that space and give that full billing. I think it's more visually interesting. There's a lot of dead space in that photo between the grass and the sky. Like it's a lot of empty space to be giving it a full page. I think that one works much better.
Yeah, get another shot for that.
And I might be inclined to flip the pages again. I think it might work better as a left full page than a right full page.
Yeah, I'll do something with that right page. I don't like it at all.
You could probably take them, and they would probably work well because the top and the bottom are the same size. I would do one of those on the left, and then the bottom right one, and then the other one on the right, and lay them all out in a row together so that they were 3, and size them all the same, with the rest just being blank page. You may have to make a layout for that.
Yeah, they do have 2 and a wide one, I think. I've used that one before. Yeah, there's something like that. I probably will have to make one. I'll leave it how it is at the moment, and I'll remind you to do it. This is another one of the the parades they have. It's called Moomba, and people get dressed up in all this crazy stuff. So it's really busy, and it's just kind of lots of detail and just one double page. I did have it more before, but I just weeded out the shots so that it's just the most colourful stuff. And so you can see sorry?
Yeah. No, I love it, and I love the layout. The girl on the left-hand page, the very last bottom image, I would switch her and put her on the left-hand side so that she leads in and views the rest of the page rather than looking off the side. Does that
okay.
Sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got about 15 minutes, and then I got to go and get ready for Tom's as well. How are you feeling about the book so far and the images you have?
Yeah, it's getting there. I've just flipped through the rest of that's one that you know.
I love that one. That's one of my favorites. I love this whole series.
These are all like time the kids playing in the bubbles and stuff like that. I did the balloon sort of sequence as well. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to finish here, but this shot on the left was I did with my latest trip, and those little bumps on the horizon of the city we were supposed to fly across, but we never did. Got so too far away from it. And the right-hand shot is from my old apartment build. And I've added a couple of that's kind of like 2 or 3 different shots put together, and then just shots I took in the last one. You've seen those before, I think.
Let's go back to, I think, one or the other on this page. I think that one would make a good, either one of them would make a good full spread if you want to feature it. But I think there's too much empty space in both of them to put them right alongside each other. So either the pages would get flipped around with one of the spreads before it to add some more interest visually, and mix them up with one of the other spreads.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Well, that one on the right would work quite easily as a double or a big one. This could be a smaller one next to it. Because the little balloons, I've actually got one with that little balloon right up on the horizon. It's almost exactly the same shot. Yeah, these ones you've seen before. These ones I don't think they're going to make it. I think they're going to get kicked. These shots, I don't really like them.
I like them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll fight about that later, but I like them.
And that's probably going to be the last shot. It's in an aquarium, and you've got like a diver in there cleaning on the right-hand side, and then the seal going straight past those people. So I kind of like it as the last shot in the book, like the human aquarium. Yeah, and go from there. Okay, so we nearly out of time, are we? Or do you have time? Do you want to see those other images?
I have about 15 minutes, so we can spend it however you want. If you want to keep looking over images, we can do that. Or we can talk a little bit about the book and where it's going. You tell me. What's your focus right now?
Have a quick look through these images because I'd like your opinion on a couple of them.
Okay.
This is my best at narrowing them down to 5. They're about 11. Although the first one's like this one's I was down at the 12 Apostles, which is a well-known Australian landmark, these things that go right along the coast, and I deliberately try to shoot them as differently as possible, even when I was in the same place, and where I was at risk of the tide coming in and being trapped there for the night. So I had to sort of move quickly, but I've just flipped you through 3 of them. The third of them is the one that I shot deliberately for Instagram. I'm starting to do that now with a square crop.
Good.
So this is one that was more of like getting the 3s. It was the sun as the 3rd, and this was the Instagram crop, which I've shot because I'm trying to do when I'm out the location is to get the variations, but I'm starting to get the
I love that one for Instagram. The second one's my favorite out of the 3.
Yeah,
I love that. It looks like some kind of earthy ship setting sail into the horizon. I love the storyline with it. I love the vibrancy of the color. I think that this is the best one of the 3, hands down. It's not even a contest for me.
Cool. And I actually put this shot up just to show you it's not a serious shot because I've got one in the book where you can actually see the guy's face. But when you do these balloon trips, the passengers are actually the crew. You only got the pilot, and he needs your help. And this poor woman had to hold the balloon open while they fly this thing. It is so hot that even where he's standing, you feel like you're going to get a tan. And this poor woman standing there trying to hold it open. And where I was standing, he was just about to tell me, because they told me not to be there. He was about to turn around and told me, he yelled at me for being there because he said it'd melt my camera. But look where she is, how close she is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No thanks.
That was in the book, but that's one of the better shots from there. I would have liked to, if we'd have flown over the city, you could see what kind of shots you could get, but we didn't. So it's $440 a ride, so you can't do too many of them. You've seen that shot as well. You've seen that shot. You've seen that shot in the book.
I like that one.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites from the tower.
I like that one a lot. That one's definitely book worthy.
Yeah, have to get that in there somewhere. And that's with a much wider lens later on, or like well after sunset.
Yeah.
And with just, yeah. And that's the city itself, which is the title page shot.
I like that one too.
So there's more than 5. Okay, if you've got a few minutes left, we could probably talk about, I can unshare and stop sharing.
So we just went through about 50 pages on the book. So you're thinking like 80?
Yeah, I mean, I did have more, but I've got them after the back, which I haven't worked out how they're fitting in there yet. So I didn't even show you until I've got at least a vague idea. Okay.
Have you looked, where are you getting them printed at? Have you looked into that yet?
Yeah, I have. So one of my colleagues from the place I've been working, her father teaches in China, and just so happens he knew of this really good printer. And guess where the printer is? Like, he's in Beijing. The printer's here in this city.
Nice.
And she's not from that city, and neither is he. They're from Sydney. So it was quite amusing that the printer is here.
Are you
I also located 2 different people who can translate it for me into Mandarin.
Nice.
And they recommend that you do both English and Mandarin in there, because the people who want to read it also are trying to learn English. So, so I've located those. I've also, when I was up in this balloon flight, who would be up in the same basket with me but a Australian travel agent based in Beijing, and I showed her some of the images on my phone because the weather was crap, so I couldn't take many. So I showed her some of my other images from the book and all the rest of it, and told her that I'm going to make a mini version of it too, which will be cut down, but it'd be a small pocket version with soft cover. And she said we would be very interested in having that to package for our tourists.
Excellent.
So I've got all her details. It's just a matter of finishing it, but I really think I need another trip over there to finish it.
Okay. Are you thinking hardcover or paperback?
Hardcover for the main one, I think.
Okay.
What do you think?
And 8 by 10?
Yeah, whatever that works out to. Yeah, it would be 8 by 10, 20 by 25. Yeah, I grew up with the imperial system, and then it changed to metric when I was in school. So, yeah, I'll do both. The other thing I was going to ask you is, I showed you the Apostles shots. A lot of the guidebooks on Melbourne, even though the Apostles are 2.5 hours drive out of Melbourne, they include them as if they're just on the doorstep, when they really aren't. And I'm just wondering whether I should do a spread on those as well in there.
I'm fine with that. You have to, in terms of how far people are traveling. Like, if this is for tourists, it's not far comparative to where they're coming from. I would absolutely drive 2 to 4 hours to go see something amazing, because when am I going to be back on that side of the world again? Or when am I going to be in that country again? So if you're primarily looking at people that are coming over for vacation, they want to go and see all the sites. That's always the joke, is that, we go and we see more of another country than we do of our own that we live in, because we're visiting. So absolutely. I think anything within 4 hours of where you are is still kind of considered it. I would just put a note and be like, these are, several hours away, but are still one of the most popular places that tourists like to go see because of yada, yada, yada. But yeah, they would definitely make the book for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got a few shots I can use there then. That's good. Okay. Yeah. So it's just a matter of, I want to get back and just get some more images that I can put in there, some more feature images, I think, to finish it off. I'm just not happy that I can maintain the quality for another 20 pages or something. So I want to get some more good, strong images to go in there, and I can use the other ones to support them. Because a lot of them are a bit more, although they're kind of okay images, but they're more descriptive and more, they support a better image.
Right.
I don't think they're strong enough to stand on their own, so that's why I haven't shown them to you.
So, well, it's your call. I mean, you know, this is definitely plenty and you've done so much work. So I think you've completed Sphere 1 satisfactory to just be, you know, on the edge of completing this project, which was where you said you wanted to go at the beginning of Sphere 1. So I can definitely elevate you and you can jump into the level 20 lounge. And that's just a formality because I won't be leveling you up anymore and you won't officially be part of the cohort, but, you know, stay in the community and keep working on it. And you can definitely, you know, touch base with me with the progress of it and let me know how it's going. And then as soon as they get Sphere 2 up and rolling, I'm on the list for the, you know, the first collection of people. It's just a matter of getting enough of you guys up there that we can fill cohorts. But I really want to see the final version before you send it to print and maybe do a little hangout and talk about where your price points are. And I think the next step, because I want to kind of do Sphere 2 like I did Sphere 1, I think the next steps would be, here's the completed book visually. Now let's talk about how to get it everywhere it should be and market it and have it make you a lot of money. And we can talk about all the differences with printing and pricing and publishing and how to get it in stores and all that kind of stuff. Because that's you could easily build 10 levels just off of that.
Yep.
So you tell me, how are you feeling?
Oh, good. No, this has been very helpful, and I think I think I might have said it before in one of the things that I think sometimes this is akin to having a personal trainer, where you're accountable to somebody and you're accountable to somebody who knows what you're trying to do and how to guide you to do it. And I think that's kind of good, because otherwise I'd put this off for ages. You know, it would take me forever to do it if I didn't have that sort of behind me. I'm not, as you well know, I'm not in the least bit interested in marketing at all. And I'd quite happily find somebody who's a you know, a gun salesperson, just say, okay, I'll cut you in, just sell heaps of them.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, I'm not in my 20s or 30s anymore, so I don't have enough time left to be doing stuff I don't want to do.
Indeed, I agree. I think everybody should feel that way regardless of where they are. I'm all about people not spending their time on anything that doesn't make them happy, which is definitely something that we can look at too. But I think, you know, I think that the universe is conspiring to help you out. You know, I don't think that it's coincidence that you end up in a hot air balloon while you're shooting for this and meet a travel agent that is completely catering to your ideal market, who probably has a whole bunch of other connections that she can introduce you to as well. And that's really how it grows. It just expands from there. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, getting my first sponsor in the photography industry was the hardest thing. And then they introduced me to somebody else. And then all of a sudden I had album companies and lens companies and Pocket Wizard. And, you know, it just kind of grows and expands by itself. So I think you're right at this edge where we're like at the top of the hill. And as soon as you complete it and start to do it, it will start to roll and pick up momentum and speed on its own. And then it's just maintaining for you. It's just you signing the email and going, yes, I would love to send you 500 copies of it. And then dropping an email to your printer and going, we need to do another print run, and figuring those things out. But really, like, it's an hour of work to sit down and go through most of that. And when you have a very definitive plan of these are the steps I need to do, then it's much less overwhelming. Because I think that that's a lot of it. You don't like marketing, but part of the reason that you don't like doing that stuff is because you feel like you're investing a lot of time for less output than what you're investing in. So the idea is to just switch that, where 20% of the time that you're putting in is getting you 80% of the income and the results coming back to it. And then it becomes easy. So it's all the hard work at the start, but it's going to be worth it. And I'm really excited. I'm going to be one of the first people to buy a copy. And so, okay. Well, you have passed level 19 with flying colors. Have you given any thought to level 20? Because I don't get freebies and you get to set your own.
Well, 20, I was thinking that maybe we could go through my website.
Okay.
I've got to clear out the tumbleweeds first.
Okay.
I did start building it a while back, but I haven't built a lot of it because I'm using templates that I don't know whether they suit what I want to do. They cater for it, they're okay, but I think you've got to make it really easy for your clients, whoever they may be. They can't be, the minute they have to start searching around for things like, how do I pay for this, or how do I find out how much it costs, I think you're going to lose them. So I kind of need to put input with that.
Okay, so well, you give that some time and energy, but I don't want that to distract you from your book right now, because I feel like with all the energy that you've put into it and the doorways that are opening and people going, yes, we want this, that should be your focus right now. So I'd actually rather sit down with you and see the whole completed book and just go through it one more time. You know, we went through most of it, so just going through and just tweaking a few little things and getting that ball rolling, and then we can definitely take a look at your website too. But I feel like I don't want to pull you away from where all the energy is and where all the good things are coming and where I think your success is going to be, to pull you over to focus on something else that's kind of non-essential right now for you. Can you agree with that?
Yeah,
or am I off?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm easy. I want to get this done. So
okay, then focus on this and get this done, and when we complete this task, then we'll move on to your website and some other things.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, as always, it's a pleasure. And I will talk to you again soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Ray.
Bye.